Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. You know that thing where they're remaking all those 1980s movies? Well, today I'm going to do the same. I've already made a video about this, the Seagull 1963, but the quality was awful. So let's get into today's review with a DSLR camera. So mine came supplied in this nice little tin. I think the packaging does vary a little bit depending on where you get these from. Mine came in this one. Just a sticker on top, but nice to have the Communist Star in 1963 on it there. Now, a pet peeve of mine is reviewers looking at watches that aren't on their original straps, but I'm afraid today I'm going to do exactly the same thing. This one came supplied on a rather drab looking olive green NATO strap. This one. Now it's okay, it actually suits it colour wise, but the quality is not fantastic. You know, those frayed edges came with it. So it was quickly replaced with this, which is a much nicer distressed leather strap, but I'm just not a big fan of the NATO. Plus this watch sits a little bit high on the wrist. It's quite a chunky little piece at around 15mm, and I found the NATO just pushed it up an extra couple of mil. So this is a Hirsch Ranger Retro in their mid-brown colour. I like these Hirsch straps. Not cheap, it does add to the overall price of the watch, but a nice little feature. So the Seagull 1963 then. So named because the Seagull Watch Company of Tianjin, China issued around 1,500 of these to the People's Liberation Army Airmen in 1963. So this is not only a Chinese aviation watch, it's a reissue obviously, but it does have some genuine provenance. So this one is the basic model. This is the 38mm. There's a bit of variation in these. As I said, you can buy them from a couple of different places. You can buy them from Watch Unique, a company based in the Netherlands. You can also buy them from Long Island Watches. This is the 38. They also do a 42. They do a Panda dial. They do a PVD. This one sits on the domed acrylic crystal, but they also do a version of this 38mm in a sapphire crystal. I went for the basic one. I think not only is it the cheapest to purchase, but it also is the truest to that vintage feel, vintage look and feel with the domed acrylic crystal. Now, I didn't even bother going for the case back. It's something, the see-through case back rather, it's something I can add on at a later date if I see the need for it. They cost about €25, I think, from Watch Unique. Be careful though, there's a couple of different case backs again, one of which has writing all over the movement. I don't see the point of a see-through case back if you can't actually see the movement inside the watch. Generally I find them a bit gimmicky, good for a day or two but not great long term. The money you save you can spend on other watches. So prices of these vary considerably, from around $160 up to $350 for the fully loaded one with a sapphire crystal. I think your money, as I said, is best spent on this one. I think it not only looks the most original, but it's got that lovely acrylic crystal. Now the acrylic crystal, I suppose one of the drawbacks of this watch as well, it will scratch easily, so do be careful about that. It's perhaps not a practical everyday timepiece. No loom on those little hands as well, and only 30 meters of water resistance. So 38mm in diameter, 18mm lug width, and as I mentioned earlier on, 15 mils thick. So it's got quite a little bit of wrist presence. Those nice curved lugs though do make it sit beautifully on the wrist. I'll get it on there in just a minute or two. Manual wind. So it's a manual wind chronograph. The chronograph is activated by pressing these pretty stiff poppers there. Now this is a 3 Hz movement, so 21,600 beats per hour, roughly equates to 6 ticks per second on that lovely little red chronometer hand there. It is a bit jerky, not the smoothest sweep in the world, but then I think that adds to the charm of this watch, and it is a really charming little piece. It measures up to 30 minutes there on the subdial at 3 o'clock. The permanent second hand is there at 9 p.m. Now stop there and reset there. The movement doesn't hack. I'll pop the crown out and you'll see the second hand is still continuing. Very easy to set though, very fast to set, which is great if it's not an everyday wear, if this is something you're going to be pulling out of the box occasionally. No date on this one obviously either, so pretty swift to set. 21 joules. Now the 38mm that comes from Long Island watches is a 19 joule. I believe they're made under license, but come from a different factory, hence the packaging is different with the 19 joule as well. I think that just says Tianjin, China underneath there as well, but don't quote me on that.
So that's about as close up as I can get to the dial, and that's really what this watch is all about, that beautiful dial. If someone described to you a kind of pale gold coloured dial with gold applied indices, blue hands and a red chronometer hand, you'd be unconvinced, shall we say, but somehow this watch just pulls it all together. Lovely little applied communist star there at the 12 o'clock or just underneath the 12 o'clock, and you've got applied gold indices. There you are, you get a bit of the flashing blue colour. It's got that heat treated blue colour, but I believe they're painted, they're not actually heat treated. So there you are, just a quick close up on each side. You can see the lovely curve of those lugs there. Nicely machined little piece, this one. Nicely polished surfaces on the side of the watch. Gives you an idea of the depth there. You can look at those applied indices. Such a pretty little watch. And the other side, unsigned crown, unsigned little pushers, and they're not screw-in. One of the reasons perhaps why this one only has a water resistance of 30 meters. So there it is on my 7-inch wrist. I wear anything really from a 34mm up to about a 42. So 38 to 40 is a really nice sweet spot for me. Got a bit of wrist presence because of that height off the wrist, 15mm. As I said, I think it looks better on a strap than it did on the NATO. It tended to wobble around a little bit. Not a lot of weight to it, 57 grams on this one, even less if you put it on a NATO, but wears really nicely.
So there you have it, the Seagull 1963, such a pretty little watch and not one you'll see on many other people's wrists. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.